My name is Audrey Henderson. I'm a member of the Jamaica Pond Poets. We're the hosts of Chapter and Verse, and the series is now in its 25th year. Usually when we're in three dimensions, we're at the Loring Greenough House, which is a colonial house in Jamaica Plain, saved from the wrecking ball by some valiant citizens. They're run by an organization called the Tuesday Club, and they're always keen to have new members. So if you like tea on the lawn or colonial architecture or anything like that, join them. Let me see. We also purchase books by all the readers for the Jamaica Pond Public Library, and they're borrowed regularly, so we'll continue to do that. And we have three fabulous readers tonight. We pat yourself on the back for being here because you're in for a treat. I'm going to start by introducing our first reader. Let's see. I am so thrilled to be able to introduce Dany Joachim. He's the past Cambridge poet populist and poet in residence at First Church, Cambridge, also director of the City Night Reading Series. He's published 3 works of poetry, 3 collections, and received a Mass Cultural Council grant for his play, Your Voice Poet. Please wave, make any kind of noise you can. We give Dany a warm welcome. Over to you, Dany.
Thank you. I thank you. What an honor. It's a great honor for me. I did read at the house before, and I have attended many readings there when friends and other folks read there. I miss the warmth, but nevertheless, I'm happy to be here with you. I'll try to feel it from the screen. I will read you a few poems in translation tonight. And I will start from an old book. And this one says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Au commencement était la parole, et la parole était avec Dieu, et la parole était Dieu." This is my favorite 3 lines from the Bible, from the Christian Bible. So I love poetry. I decided that this is poetry, so I read it as a poem. I read you a poem that is called Judas Iscariot, not too far from the Bible itself, from the New Testament. Judas Iscariot. He's a character I find myself thinking about him a lot, and I wrote this poem that is called Judas Iscariot. I am the father of the son who must betray the Son of God. Eternity will praise the death of the Creator's Son, and his name will be sanctified. He will be resurrected, and me, I will cry in the dark the sacrifice of mine. Thus, prophecy wants it. Forever they will say his name with scorn, and for humanity's salvation and the greatest glory of God, I mourn my sacrifice in the shadow of a tree. Judas Iscariot. Je suis le père du fils qui doit livrer le Fils de Dieu. L'éternité louera la mort du Fils créateur et son nom sera sanctifié. Il sera ressuscité. Et moi, je pleurerai dans l'ombre le sacrifice du mien. Ainsi le veut la prophétie. À jamais, on dira son nom avec dédain. Et pour le salut de l'humanité et la plus grande gloire de Dieu, je pleure mon sacrifié dans l'ombre d'un arbre. And the next poem I read for you is also a translated poem in translation, is from my dear friend Alan. I had the honor to, he wrote a poem I love so much, I put it into the French language. Alan wrote it in Spanish. Partimos. On s'en va, on s'en va. À cette allure, la terre aboutira à l'horizon. On oubliera alors l'étoile de l'eau et l'étoffe déserte dans le sable, c'est-à-dire après la forêt ténébreuse, l'endroit d'où naît la mer. On s'en va avec le principe que la nuit chavire. On s'en va sans escale. Partimos. A este paso la tierra llegará al horizonte. Olvidémonos ahora de la estrella de agua y la tela soltera en la arena. Es decir, después del bosque oscuro donde nació el mar. Partimos del principio de que la noche se arroga. Partimos sin estaciones. And I will leave it to Alan to read you the translation in English when his turn comes. And I will read you another poem that we wrote for a friend, a dear friend, Jose dos Santos. It's called The White Shirt. The White Shirt for Jose dos Santos. The White Shirt. It's me. I am the poet's white shirt. I have lost buttons. I am not sure. My collar stretches around the neck. My long sleeves cover the artist's arm. It's me, the white one he chooses always, not the blue he wears to work, not the red for protest days. He puts me on and takes me along on special occasions, no matter the seasons. I am the poet's favorite. I am the white shirt. I shine in the crowd to light his eyes, and I take the stain, the white shirt. And the white shirt goes like that in French. La chemise blanche. C'est moi la chemise blanche du poète. J'ai perdu des boutons, j'en suis pas sûr. Mon col s'étend autour du cou et mes longues manches couvrent les bras de l'artiste. C'est moi la chemise blanche qu'il choisit toujours, pas la bleue qu'il porte pour travailler, pas la rouge pour protester. Il m'enfile et m'emmène avec pour des occasions spéciales, peu importe la saison. Je suis la préférée du poète. Je suis la chemise blanche. Je brille dans la foule pour illuminer ses yeux et j'absorbe les taches. Now I will read you Le Vieux Chapeau, the whole hat. A friend of mine, common friend of Alan and myself, did the translation. Tono Arian is from Madrid. Le Vieux Chapeau, the whole hat. I am the one they wear no more. I am the one they wear no more. The digits of my age are forever lost in the wrinkling of my skin and the usury of the sun and the rain. I gave my shadow without regard, and my paws have long filtered anxieties and prayers before their flight to heaven. I greeted lords and servants. I am the heart of service. I have learned the taste of salt in the sweat of the seasons of hard work. I still have in my veins the carousels of joyful days. I have seen the birth of dreams. I have seen 1,000 paths, and I have seen cathedrals. I am the shadow they seek no more. I am the one they take no more out. They call me the whole heart. Et le vieux chapeau en français se dit comment? Le vieux chapeau. Ah. To honor my friend who did the Spanish translation, I'll read it in Spanish instead. The translation was done by Tono Arian. El viejo sombrero. Soy el que no lleva nada más. Las cifras de mi edad están perdidas como nunca en los pliegues de mi piel, bajo el desgaste del sol y de la lluvia. He dado mi sombra sin ninguna consideración y mis poros han filtrado hace mucho tiempo angustias y oraciones antes de enviarlas hacia el cielo. Y saludo a señores y a criados. Soy el sombrero de servicio. He conocido el gusto de la sal en el sudor de las temporadas de duro trabajo. Tengo todavía en mis venas el estribillo de los días de jubilo. He visto nacer sueños, he visto 1000 senderos y catedrales. Soy la sombra que ya no busca. Soy el que no llega a tiempo para salir. Me llaman el viejo sombrero. Et maintenant, I will read you. What do I read you for my? I read you the last poem that is called The Poem. This poem, I wrote it, and our dear friend Rina Espaya did the English translation. I wrote a poem for my birthday that I dreamed to be translated in so many languages. So I have it in a few languages so far. Rina did the English translation. I'll read it first for you. It's called The Poem. The Poem. For the last poem, I want someone to take me by the hand and invite me on stage, and above all, without any applause. I want someone to greet me as if I had returned from a long trip in search of the poem of peace. I want the crowd to dance the poem, that its words be music and illuminate the entire hall. That the poem itself may join the dance like a circle game in which everyone's feet intermingle and leap madly until the words glitter with joy and goodwill. Then I will shut my eyes to find my deepest self vanish into the atmosphere and become the memory of the poem. Il s'est dit, c'est assez en français. I wrote it in French. Le poème. Pour le dernier poème, je veux qu'on me prenne par la main, m'invite sur scène et surtout sans aucun applaudissement. Je veux qu'on m'accueille comme si je revenais d'un long voyage pour quérir le poème de la paix. Que la foule danse le poème, que ses mots soient musique et illuminent toute la salle. Que le poème aussi rentre dans la danse comme dans un jeu de wand où les pieds s'entremêlent et sautillent à la folie, pendant que les mots pétillent joie et bonheur. Ainsi, Je fermerai les yeux pour m'installer au plus profond de moi, me perdre dans l'ambiance et devenir mémoire du poème. Do I read you one last poem? What will it be? Deux, trois, okay, ça va. Bon. What will it be? I'm going to read you a poem that is called Four Cheers. Four Cheers. You know, when I like to talk about things, make things. Four cheers. Listen to this. It's like a gossip. This poem is like a gossip, Four cheers. Four chairs sit on a porch. They're waiting. Four chairs all dressed up, sitting without a word. Four chairs of hope in wait to be useful. Four chairs next to each other, which are sometimes face to face. Four chairs of labor, relieving the human tiredness. Four chairs which cure. Four chairs observing life which ravels. Four chairs of silence. Four chairs in wait to hand words. On the porch, the four chairs sit, they're waiting. It's fun in Creole. Listen to it in Creole, in my native language. It goes like that. Catches. Cat.
To Alan Smith-Soto.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Audrey, for the wonderful introduction, and to Sandy and to Dorothy for their leadership in chapter and verse. Dany, thank you for your beautiful poetry. I don't know how it got into your head to read my poem, but it sounded exquisite in French, that I can tell you. And those four chairs, I know those four chairs. I know what those four chairs are and how important they were. So I'm going to start off with four short poems in Spanish, and then I will read the English translation from my wonderful translator and a fine short story writer in her own right, Catherine Hanula Hill. If I don't say a title, it's because the poem does not have a title. Haiku. Llegó el silencio hasta la mariposa, abrió su ala. Haiku. Silence reached the butterfly, it opened its wing. Ángelus. Bajo las golondrinas, las muchachas tienden camisas blancas en el trigo. Aún así, de repente, es ayer. Angelus. Under the swallows, the girls spread white shirts on the wheat. Even so, suddenly, it's yesterday. Del pan, la maravilla, del corazón, el vuelo de paloma. From bread, wonder. From the heart, the dove's flight. Incidente. El clown tropieza sobre su precoz zapato. Los lunares de su pantalón convergen, pero de nada ha valido. Incident. The clown stumbles over his precocious shoe, the polka dots on his pants mingling, but it's all been for nothing. Now I'll read my English language poetry. Haiku. I went to the pond. A leaf fell in the water next to the old cloud. Nautical terms. Jetsam, flotsam, drownsome. This. In 100 years, with none of this, how truthful, lightning, how customary, after all. Market gossip. The fishmonger eviscerated the fish by talking very harshly to it. Information. This is where the music was coming from yesterday, she said in front of the gazebo by the pond. A warm breeze carried her words to me so that I looked. How can I tell you about the swans I saw on Jamaica Pond? Close to the shore, in the long evening shade, without letting greeting cards devour the fact that their blue necks entwined into a heart. Greetings, grandfather. Salve, abuelo, I say, and raise my arms. Every time I pass this ancient beach, I greet its blind, gray gaze and briefly stand to let its peace inform and comfort me. Its massive roots roil their molten lava across the ground like centuries of faith. Its branches reach the pond and spread their bower over the shadows that their movements make. This year, each time, before I turn to go, I ask for blessings for our fragile age. Its tattooed limbs with names somebody loved, I ask to witness what they cannot change. I lose its silence the farther I walk on. The hawk glides off above the frozen pond. Inventory found in a drawer. The unbarked word, the dearest of your spoons, returning after dusk, one wave particular in hue. to the background of an accordion. Swooping down from their purple heights, while Venus was alone, swallows hung garlands of staunched rags on the limbs of the nearby plane tree, above the one who delicately, with index finger and thumb, extracted the thorn of the evening, next to the garbage forager, and the girls who devastated their tattoos as if mercy were still swaying sheets of wind. Ago. It was Dresden, 1992, too early for my train. I killed time to no avail by walking around in the neighborhood of the station. Still some damaged houses after all the decades. One broken window wagged its tongue of ragged curtain out into the sidewalk. I peered in. A living room covered with debris, a small table, 3 chairs, a hobby horse, a door unhinged to a patio, overgrown with weeds. A streetcar turned the corner, screeching. In Guadalajara with a friend. Guadalajara is a region in Spain, northwest of Madrid, 2 or 3 hours by car. And it's a rugged piece of land. In Guadalajara with a friend. These were vineyards, he says, replaced by barley fields, where the roe deer leaps in 6-foot arcs, followed by the other, and forest still uncleared or grown back up rims the yellow grain with dark blue thyme. Our shadows shorten, still leading the way. We walk away from dawn, an easy gait. Look, there's another one, alone. There is a town, he says, with just one bar where we can get some coffee. Fine, I say. That's great. I, the one letter I. Put a frame around it, and it is art, that is, attention, gathered for a purpose unrelated to hunger. For example, touching finger and thumb tips. Encompass what you will, a face, a tree, a trillion years of night. But wait, the wind has stirred. There's something in my eye. Peeled wallpaper, revealing the afternoon of a fawn. I have household cleaners under the sink, powder, sprays, designated sponges. To what avail? Beginning word. The etymologist explains testify and tree share the same root. What are we to say when a witness becomes a tree? By virtue of three dreadful iron conjunctions, metonymy mattered into love. In illo tempore. There was a time I thought that cloud would never leave its leafless branch, nor the persimmon turn in its blue bowl. The moments pinned uncadenced wing, the edge refusing to die, and so to live. As on a familiar journey, let your trembling spoon bring broth to your lips, and as you sip, eyes closed, the moon splashes again below your rolled up pants, and she is laughing from the shore, her shoes in hand, stepping, balancing towards you, so far from town, barely in the woods where you would gather her. Two more. Report. Beautiful and phallic was the tongue that whispered in God's ear. The breeze was tamarind. They stood sorrowless, perfect, besides all suddenness, unnaked as the grass. And my last poem. Brush stroke on wet pigment. How rich the brush extends, aquamarine to ochre earth, the edge unfounded, the sense of salt alone. The tower clock is being repaired, and cloud shade moves across its handless face. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. That was beautiful. I feel like we need a little more silence around that. The old cloud for me followed you the whole way through the reading, and it appeared again at the very end on the clock face. Thank you. Our final reader tonight is the poet and translator Mark Smith-Soto. He was born in the US and raised in his mother's country, Costa Rica. He has authored 3 prize-winning chapbooks and 3 full-length poetry collections. His work is recognized in 2005 with an NEA Fellowship in Creative Writing, and his work has appeared widely in the Kenyon Review, Literary Review, Louisville Review, Missouri Review, and many others. His work of translation Fever Season was selected poetry of Anna Istaru, and his lyrical memoir Berkeley Prelude were both published by Unicorn Press. Please give a warm welcome to our final reader, Mark Smith-Soto.
There, I believe I've unmuted myself. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you so much. I'm very, very honored and grateful to be asked to read tonight. And the Jamaica Pond Poets and the chapter and verse group. And I am honored by the company I keep with the poets who have just read before me. I'm going to be reading mainly some poems that I'm trying to put together in a chapbook called Extended Family. And this is the first poem. It's called Accent. 50 years ago, my older brother brought home the first tape recorder I'd ever seen, a little box that pulled my voice out of the air and spun it out, transformed, whiny, stuffed-nosed, sing-song. I stared at Dave. Could that be how I really sounded? Like Speedy Gonzales, the cartoon mouse? He just pressed a button and played it again, trying not to grin. From then on, I obsessed over my pronunciation, labored to distinguish beach from bitch and bum from bomb. Still have trouble. So no one would wonder how I learned my English. Where are you from? How much it meant to me to avoid that question. For years I practiced until I spoke like a proper Yankee, not a refugee from the Central American wars. Or so I thought. Then a clerk at Stop and Go asked if I came from Pakistan. He said I talked just like his dentist. At least, I thought, he isn't thinking spick. Time to make peace with what could not be fixed. This morning, I listened to myself on my iPhone rehearsing a poem I will read tonight, and catch in my tone a lilt that's gently foreign, a distant song. This poem is called Extended Family. It's what gives title to this chapbook I mentioned that I'm working on. It's a memory poem from, well, the poem speaks for itself. Our big old house was shaken to the rafters. Avocado green shutters, avocado green door, green outside wall, smashed by a drunken Jeep. Nobody hurt, but something deep cracked, because then everyone began to move away. Abuelo, abuelita, Eusebio, Enrique, and even Ida eloped with an old crow into a world of sorrows. And we moved too, up the street where there was never someone always singing in another room, just a gray porch shared with a gray woman who kept sweeping dirt that wasn't there. No great window to catch the morning, like on the cobbled green corner, where only Ramon and Isabel remained a while. He, short, caramel-faced, swamp-eyed. She, wild black hair, defying expectations, pale leaf green eyes, eyebrows dark and sudden, a vivid, exasperated, life-delighting woman who laughed to eat spaghetti, pinky held high, como la gente, who painted with a knife, skies thick as icing, keen turpentine haunting the house, her treescapes flashing like sudden glances through the living room wall, looking out on a future that might go on, arriving forever, where loved voices called us by funny names and tickled us to sleep, and cameras were always clicking to catch the light on our cheeks. And no, not how it was after the drunken Jeep, day after day carrying away in its jaws a piece of the portrait, Abuelito's hat, Aida's bocadito de reina swimming with cloves, Joaquin's clownish triple sneezes, as our house on the green corner crumbled, lifted in the wind, sifted slow as in a dream into the cracks between one orphaned world and another. First, teléfono. 2079. No area code. Just the 4 digits, easy for a boy to memorize for an emergency. A number that tethers to a long, narrow, pink adobe house where one day the hunched, horned black box appeared, perched on a little table, alert, poised to deliver shock after shock to the air. Black plastic, hard and heavy in the hand, heavy in a new way, serious with alarm and accident, roosting a bit tilted as if to fly off the handle once and for all with electric news. The dog run over, an ant abandoned, the living room where we played hide and seek thrown open to a world on the brink. First ripe mango. Pouch filled tight, hefty in the palm, bright blush and sun, tender and blunt, a terseness begging to be pierced, easy peeled back from dappled green to orange, oozing over fingers and wrist, the tongue tickling to catch it, streaming down forearm almost to elbow, even as one deep bite takes the teeth, bump into the hairy core, ripened honey rank, shadow of mellow acid in nose and throat, loud, long, sucking, smacking, chewing, swallowing the slide of tart mouthful over the tongue, down the throat. Oh, plosion of enlightenment, wrested from the realm of the unknown. Blackboard, 1958. Dense, rich delight in the chalk, guiding letters into their places like kids set behind their desks, sun through the dust soft windows, dawning on the curve of our faces, the teacher about to turn, but not yet, not yet. Silver hair, silver watch, the chalk glows in her long hand. Something serious is about to happen. The letters go on and on, Little squeals punctuate the air. Something important is going to happen. Time is generous in this small room. It is the room. It is the teacher and the children. It is the words before the words. Several of the poems in this chapbook are memories of aunts and uncles, some of them in Costa Rica and some of them of Costa Rican origin, some reflecting my father's heritage, which is Lithuanian Jew. This one is Costa Rican to the core. It's called Tío, which, as you all know, means uncle. Turns out you were not pure. Turns out you were not good. In the green opal bound for Alajuela, pop, a frown and silence at the wheel. You whistled Beethoven to cheer the air, a sound I took for your soul, lithe, handsome, free. 3 kids huddled and joyful in the dented coupe. We clamored for more of the poems you recited like they might make life matter. For me, you were everything that was uncle. Sometimes you'd sigh from the empty place where you kept the son you cheated, the wife you cheated on, the loneliness I was to understand too well. A vacation from yourself, those long trips were, the self you spared us, the details alien and banal, the loss they brought. The singing light gutters under all that truth, but holds you still, turning to face us from the front seat of the opal to recite the first poetry of our lives, your every fault forgiven. This poem is called Let It Spill. This is about one of my United Statesian uncles, but a great lover of all things Costa Rican. A great musician he was, and he knew how to share it. It's called Let It Spill. Never scribble on about sacred things, say the teachers. It's for amateurs. But what about moments that weren't sacred when they happened, but bit by bit snuck into sacredness as month upon month and year upon year honeyed over them, swathing, rounding them, all amber and translucent? Like when my Uncle Marshall in Salinas and I drank in all the Beethoven string quartets and a fifth of Shiva's Regal one long Sunday. Me on the big sofa, the castanets of gold-rimmed dishes in Tia Carmen's hands clacking from the kitchen as the ice cubes in my glass jostle quick and joy hollow against my teeth, and Beethoven and Shiva's, and my uncle still in his pajamas at 4 p.m, saying, "Never do this again, my boy. This is no way to listen to such greatness," even as he's half dancing to the stereo to turn it up and up until you think sun will come spilling out your ears and you just close your eyes and let it spill. a bit of a trip to a different land of origin. Bubby, Jenny, and the Lone Ranger. Bubby, as you know, Yiddish for grandmother. Bubby, Jenny, and the Lone Ranger. Bubby, Jenny, 60 years you've waited for me in memory or this dream to re-enter the dank room where you sit in a fat green chair by a thin green lamp to watch your favorite show. Mine too, as it happens, even as Uncle Frank chats nearby with Pop in a separate, transparent world, telescoping away from the two of us at the speed of death, of loss, whatever, the speed of the white tablet fizzing to nothing in a juice glass you cover with short, thick fingers to hold the bubbles in, dim eyes fixed on the tiny, far too silvery screen, as if I wasn't stranded there next to you, not daring to adjust the contrast, not daring to say a word. But what's the matter, you humpy, grumpy, old Lithuanian, muttering in that almost English only your sons understood, eyes on the television, glowing its miracles in the gloom. Can't you see me here, standing next to you in this stuffy den, gray with old goodbyes, gray as the hair knot on the top of your head, the green lamplight showing my hand at rest on the great round of your shoulder where I never dared place it, but place it now. Grandson tears rising in me to think how funny we both loved that show, even as the dream scope pulls deeply back to reveal the two of us, the forever old and the forever young, tearing across the range on our bright horses. Daybreak. The past seeps back at dawn. Its recurrence swells with the smallest losses. Oh, you know how you won't again be taken by the hand to the little parque where long-tailed kites measured heaven. The half-dream tilt of the horizon lengthens. The Punta Arenas path lined by palm trees ceding to scrubby pine, warmth yielding northward to a cramp of ice. Open your eyes, see? Daybreak fingering the blinds. Fold night away before death skirts in, scatters the tiles that pale Sulema mopped to let the morning see itself. You, a boy at a wide open window, wrist to temple, feeling your hope skip under the skin. This last poem is actually in honor of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is coming right up. And since so many of these poems I'm exploring past moments, there's one past moment of particular meaning to me. This poem is called Satori. Satori being the Buddhist term for a sudden understanding, sometimes evoking that moment when you realize your life is about to change. In my case, quite for the better, quite some time ago. Satori. In the budding white morning, I crawl out of bed and wander barefoot down the stairs and yawn into the kitchen where you are making coffee. And I see a woman making coffee and wearing what must be my red shirt. And I watch her move sternly as if I shouldn't be there, or as if I should be remembering to be polite. Because truth is, I'm just then getting my bearings, wondering why everything shines so clear, the rhombus of sun on the oak table, the copper fan stuttering overhead. And I watch as she walks to the fridge and pulls and disappears behind the door. Disappears, except for the red sleeve I almost recognize, and the curled fingers on the handle that I know I must now go up and touch. And it comes to me then that I have wandered in my life from dream to dream with a lotus of awakening about to open. Thank you. I want to say, for the sake of the people who published me, that my book, my most recent book, Timepieces, is available, and also another one any second now from Main Street Rag Publishing Company of Charlotte. And if you just go to their website, Main Street Rag Publishing Company, you can find them there.